A lot of people will have one of two assumptions about what work is even for, or like the role of work in our lives. On the one end of the spectrum, you'll hear work is called work for a reason. It's drudgery, you get paid because work is painful and people wouldn't do it otherwise. On the other end of the spectrum, right, the pendulum sort of swung through time to say, oh, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And so it's also not healthy, even for the people who really love what they do. It often leads to overworking.
AI has landed in this moment where everyone's super lonely and the emotional landscape is extremely hot. Like I feel like everyone is like, the temperature's really high at the moment in work. Parafoil is a way to re-engage the humanity in work. We use AI to analyze the interactions that humans have in their day-to-day work. There are lots of products that give you intelligence in different contexts. For us, we're building something that gives you the intelligence you need as an individual leader.
Welcome back to The Intersect. I'm Corey Kareen. Today we talk about the purpose of work. We ask, is it simply the general drudgery we get paid for, or a purpose so grand you should want to do it every moment of your waking day? Raising my little hand. Problematically so, I think. This week I sat down with Bree Groff and Ben Perreau, two people grappling with a similar question in different ways, using different approaches. Bree is an organizational change expert and the author of newly released book, Today Was Fun, a book about work, seriously. It's a practical, deeply human guide to building better days at work. And Ben is the creator of Parafoil, an AI leadership tool that helps managers reflect on their interactions and gain personalized insight into how they lead. We talk about cozy teams, emotional burnout, and how AI might help us work better with other people. Ben and Bree also share how they personally use AI. And finally, I talk about some developments in tech and AI this week. Let's get into it. You can't actually talk about the future of work and the world of work and how we get better at it and not talk about what's happening with technology. I'm going to start with you, Bree.
Sure.
Tell us who you are, what you've been exploring, and then what is it about your exploration that gives you, a little bit of hope into what we can do next?
So yeah, my name is Bree. I have been a consultant for forever, which is where I met Ben, doing work on company culture, employee experience, some strategy, some purpose, but really how do humans at work experience their days and how can we help them have better days? The book stemmed from both that professional experience, but also my own personal experience. I lost my mother a few years ago from a terminal cancer. I had this one moment in the hospital with her where I realized she and everybody else there all they're doing is hoping for more days. That's when you get that kind of diagnosis, it's just tunnel vision to what's important. And then I would talk to a friend, a colleague, and everybody back at the office is just hoping for Friday, right? It just felt really distinctly different. And so to me, it felt like an emergency that the humans at work are not enjoying the work. We are, in fact, wishing away 5/7 of our week each week. There's a very common profile, I think, of someone who lives this infinite workday where you wake up and you're don't even look to your partner, say good morning. You're immediately on your phone, right? There's a report from Microsoft, the Infinite Workday report, that says people are interrupted every 2 minutes on average from an email, a notification, or a meeting. So we're running through our days. We're not stopping to eat. We're not taking care of our bodies. Who cares about the high blood pressure? I'm getting my work done. It was this kind of lifestyle, we're trying to get through that felt like this is not okay. And I've got some things that I think could help. So out popped the book.
Okay, I love that. And we want to hear about all the things that can help. Hold that thought. That thoughts are going to save us. Mm-hmm. Ben, okay.
Yeah.
Tell us, give us your spiel, what you're building, who you are. You have an interesting path that led you to this product. Yeah, just tell us what you're doing.
Yeah. Prior to working with Bree for a while, I worked inside corporates, leading companies similarly, to some of the work that you've done. And through all that work, I got tired of seeing leaders flame out alone, because leadership is a lonely journey for everyone. And it becomes increasingly more lonely the more senior you get, until you find yourself alone in the company. And that's usually when you're leading the company. And so we built Parafoil as a tool to help leaders have a mirror to reflect on how they're doing early in their career. Like, I feel like everyone is like, the temperature's really high at the moment in work. Everyone's running really, really hard. And so Parafoil is a response to that.
You're like, I'm going to use an AI for that.
Yeah. We use AI to analyze the interactions that humans have in their day-to-day work. So, for example, you load Parafoil onto your computer or you load it onto your phone, and Parafoil...
As a manager.
As a manager. And then Parafoil watches how you lead in the sort of day-to-day, minute to minute, hour to hour.
How does it watch?
So it runs kind of like shotgun on your conversations that you're having with your direct reports.
Like shotgun, like your friend in your car?
That's right. That's right.
God, I was like, we switched into like a
different analogy.
It was a different analogy.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So
it's riding shotgun with
Parafoil is riding alongside you in your car, and you're having your conversations as a leader with your team. And Parafoil is a way for you to make sure that you've got somebody beside you who can say, hey, next time you do that, like, here's a way of doing it differently that's better. And so you can go back and look at Parafoil after every meeting with one of your direct reports, and you can say, how did I do? And Parafoil gives you a reflection on how you did in your day-to-day work rather than adjacent to it.
I have a sense of how this works. Thank you for, walking us. It's your shotgun person with you.
Yeah.
And all of your digital experiences.
You can run it on your machine. You can run it on your phone.
But everyone says yes. Everyone says I participate and you're collecting my data.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
We're very clear about that. You have to run any AI with complete consent from everyone who's involved in the process. I mean, we built Parafoil privacy first.
Privacy first. Okay, so with your privacy first tool, and so it has this information, and then it's like, we need to have a little bit of a talk because just the way I'm just noticing, maybe this person is like cutting everybody off all the time. I assume an AI can detect that.
Yeah.
You're not letting people speak. Okay. And it's like, ultimately, it's helping this robot through pattern recognition is helping to recognize that this person is having this challenging interaction with another person. So these are like working with people. Like the problem with work is not the technical stuff. I mean, you got to get the right technical skills and all of that. But I've found it's the working with people that is, it's your success or your failure case, but it's also, it's kind of what makes us miserable if we don't know how to do that in a healthy way, or the environment's toxic and such, you can't. So this robot's going to help us figure out, now what do we do about this people problem? So what has emerged, what's sticking out for you, insights, commonalities around feedback, or like, what are you learning kind of macro against all of these insights of people helping them become better managers?
Yeah. There's two kinds of people there. One is, I'm being watched, I freeze. The other one is, okay, I'm finding that there's now a way that I'm being held accountable as a leader in this context. And then in the themes of the actual transcripts, analysis, the work that we're doing, sort of empirically, what we're seeing, is lots of people have a sort of default leadership style or default traits that they use again and again. We all have our own tropes. We all have our own comfort or our own kind of home base in terms of where we're most comfortable. Everyone's trying to be a more democratic leader or a more transformational leader. But actually, sometimes the organization wants you to be a more decisive or directional leader, and that's not as aspirational for everyone. And so we see a lot of people who are sort of fighting their urge to be more transactional when maybe that's the best thing for them to be in the moment. And so I think one of the great uses of having feedback and insights on your leadership on a day-to-day basis is you can start to understand what is the right style in the right moment.
We want the robots to work for us, right? We don't want to work for the robots. And so that's what I love about Parafoil. So I've used the product. I'm such a fangirl, if you will. What's so great about it is that for anybody like myself who sort of like tenses up the minute someone's like, can I give you some feedback? I'm like, oh God, and that happens only once in a while or in a performance review. It's like, to me, that's the best use of a robot. Like, it's a confidant, it's an honest mirror. And then ultimately, it's making me a better human, which is always what I want the robots for. Like, I want the robot to give me information so I can make better decisions in management or in life.
Yeah. If you become a better manager and get the feedback, and is that going to increase this joy, or I don't know. I mean, Gen Z's a little bit like, no bosses, so how do you just think about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can be a manager and have it suck or have a nice time with it. And it's not going to be for everybody too. I think that's actually why it's a really good thing that there are senior IC, individual contributor roles. Because traditionally the only way to go up is to manage people, right? Which is sort of spawned this problem that Ben is now solving. So I would say two things. One, maybe I agree with the Gen Z. It's like, you don't have to go up if you don't want that prize. A lot of times I think if you ask someone, would you want your boss's job? They would be like, hell no.
Yeah.
And so then don't take it. Hang out, move horizontally, find another role. If you do want it, then great. Then, like a tool like Parafoil is really helpful to help you not flail around and be lonely up there. Because there's nothing about leadership that requires you to be serious or miserable. Like, just the opposite. The best leaders I've had are the ones who are like having themselves some fun, because that gives me permission then to actually enjoy my work. And I can see that they're comfortable, they're confident. It's actually the more serious, miserable leaders that my first instinct is like, oh, they feel, especially the serious ones, like there's something insecure here. Like they're performing seriousness or like they're trying to overperform competence by like wearing the suit. And I think, no, like the smartest, most brilliant consultants I know, they show up in t-shirts because they're comfortable and they're confident in their ability to lead and give good guidance. So yeah, nothing at odds with leadership and joy.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'm motivated by that.
Yeah.
I also agree with that. The number one reason people get promoted is because they're really good individual contributors and really good technically at their job. And we want to retain them. None of those are good reasons for leadership. So we just pick out the wrong people from the crop. Leadership is a different vocation to the IC vocation, not an advancement of. And we all want more flat organizations and less middle managers. I agree with all those things. I think we want more of that. But somebody has to be in a leadership role of some kind. And so the question is, how do we make sure that it's an easier, better, more human experience for the person who is inevitably the leader in any context? Mm-hmm. And I think we should be more thoughtful about who we choose and whether or not we choose to take that on.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, I love that you really stan each other's products so much. And yeah. I love this.
Big
That's
time.
why we're all talking.
Yeah.
What is the biggest insight from your book? What is broken and what are some of your solutions or recommendations?
Sure. Yeah.
With or without AI, because we'll get to that. But
okay. So at just like a premise of what is work for level, there's a few things wrong. Because right now, a lot of people will have one of two assumptions about what work is even for, or like the role of work in our lives. On the one end of the spectrum, you'll hear work is called work for a reason. It's drudgery. You get paid because work is painful and people wouldn't do it otherwise, right? And so that's one, my grandparents would probably even agree with that, or my parents, like that's one notion of work. And it's not great.
Yeah.
Because then we are showing up expecting kind of to have a bad day, making it through so that we have a paycheck. On the other end of the spectrum, right, the pendulum sort of swung through time to say, oh, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right? Like follow your passion. And some people really do. And that's amazing for them. But also that's a super high bar.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will feel like, oh God, like, am I doing something wrong? Like I'm not having fun every day. Would I call this my passion? What, like the mid-level marketing manager? And so it's also not healthy. It can also, even for the people who really love what they do, it often leads to overworking, because now if you're following a calling or your life's passion, now it's like, oh, I should be doing it all the time, right? I should be devoting my life to it.
I'm a little bit worried. Go
yes, on. Yeah. Which is like, there's nothing wrong with loving what you do and wanting to work all the time. That the downside is in the opportunity cost, because we only have 24 hours a day. So what exercise are we not getting? What relationships are we not growing? What leisure are we not enjoying? So through the book, I'm trying to advocate for some kind of like middle third way, which is work can just be fun. Like it just be a nice way to spend our days on the planet. We can spend it with people we like. The time that Ben and I worked together, I just liked hanging out with Ben. And while we were hanging out, we did a little client work.
What do you do to sort of look for that kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is part of the reason why I don't think you need grand purpose in order to enjoy your work. There's actually tons of way to find pleasure in your work, and it can be diversified. So for example, think of the show The Office, right? They were selling paper. That is so dull. And it was the perfect choice. In that show, they're highlighting that work can be fun if you and your small team make it fun, despite what you're doing in the world. Maybe you hate the people, and you don't have a choice. You need this job and the people suck. Well, then maybe you really like the process of doing the work. Maybe you don't like the process, but you really like the growth. Maybe you hate all of that, but you have one mentee that you're helping and you really like that part of the job. Or maybe you hate all of that, but the fact that you're making some impact really sings to you. And so there's so many different ways to find that. I wrote the book very much for the person who's maybe a manager, has a small team, maybe has one direct report.
Yeah.
It's about how do you create what I call a cozy team in your little local environment. Like with you and the couple people who you're working with, how do you make that cozy and trusting and comfortable despite all the other crazy stuff that might be happening in the world and the market and your company? Because that's really your day-to-day experience. It's like, who do you show up at work next to and hang out with all day?
The work together and then just camaraderie.
Yeah.
That is the special thing. And as a person who builds teams to do stuff that didn't exist before, it'll just blow your mind. If you have the right people working together, they can do anything.
Right?
Literally anything,
Yeah.
but it's we have this discord in the way we're working together. And to find that cozy space, I'd freaking sell paper. Okay, a quick recap before we head into the second half of the episode. I've been talking with Bree Groff and Ben Perreau about the purpose of work and how to make it enjoyable with and without technology. One of the most striking things Bree said was that work doesn't have to be a calling. It doesn't need to be soul-sucking or soul-defining. What if it could just be enjoyable? A place where we're respected, engaged, and maybe a little excited about our work. That's what Bree calls a cozy team. And it stuck with me because I felt that. And I've also felt the opposite. The good days usually aren't about the project. They're about the people, the vibe in the room, the way you feel seen and heard as you work through the work. Ben's tool, Parafoil, is trying to make that kind of environment easier to build. He's helping leaders understand how they show up in their relationships at work. It doesn't replace human judgment. It should enable human reflection. It's built to give you insights on how you lead on a daily basis and then help you use that information to make the next one better. So this is all a shot at actually enjoying work again, while in the messy middle of trying to figure it all out. Let's get back into it. Okay, so how is Parafoil going to get us closer to this? How are you going to make a cozy team? What are you doing for us with that?
At the end of the day, work relationships are like any other relationship, right?
Totally.
We all just want to feel seen and understood and be able to work together in a way that's meaningful for us in our own individual way. And so, we talked a little bit about how the idea of AI, everyone in Silicon Valley right now is talking about, make sure you've got an AI partner. Make sure you're working with an agent. That's great. That stuff's probably going to happen. We're all going to have AI augmentations everywhere. And we can talk about disintermediation of jobs and all those things. But, I think Parafoil is a way to re-engage the humanity in work. That which measured gets managed, or whatever they say.
I don't know. Is that from just you say that in the UK?
Old management.
Yeah.
That which measure gets managed.
Oh, you guys are consultants. You guys,
we know all stupid phrases.
Okay,
Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
I know that one.
We'll never know that one. Yeah.
But like, what? Okay, so what that which,
And so,
but tell me that which
measured gets managed. I mean,
yeah, your KPIs, your whatever you're
we
working.
have, like, at a national level, at a company level, at an individual level, we're all looking at some kind of data point, and that seems to be the thing we seem to obsess over.
I see.
Yeah. It's like once you start tracking like protein intake per day, you're like, oh God, get me some chicken.
Yeah.
That's
We're talking to the machines all the time now. I mean, the stats are really staggering. What we're telling to ChatGPT every day is it's therapy, confidant, emotional. What do I do this breakup text? And it's like then all this water's being used, and like Gen Z's very upset because of the environment, just to figure out how to like text, do the breakup text. I mean, we are using it in all kinds of crazy ways, but maybe they're not that crazy at all. This is just the world we're going into. It doesn't strike me that weird at all that someone would have your coaching companion, your personalized, your Parafoil bot walking around with you in your existence. It's not that strange. It's private. I mean, that's just how we're using AI and GPTs now, because we can say things to that we're embarrassed to talk to even our therapist about.
We're all assuming it's safe and private.
Yeah.
But you have to design with that kind of safety and privacy from the ground up.
That's why you're privacy first.
I think you have to be privacy first.
Yeah.
We're only just becoming aware, I think, in the last few days of the idea that is in the terms and conditions, which is of ChatGPT, which is that stuff can be subpoenaed. There's some privacy in that, but unless you actually build with privacy and anonymize individual information and personal data, and you encrypt it at rest and all of these things, then actually some of that information you have to be careful with it unless you're really handling it with care. And
so is this? I mean, what do you have like a little name, like Clippy? No, but what is it?
Oh, I see. Well, a lot of people are doing chatbots at the moment, and they've all given them sort of these sort of somewhat anthropomorphized names like Dave and Chad or whatever they're calling them. I don't know. But we've decided not to do that.
Oh.
And Parafoil is not a chatbot. Parafoil is a way for you to unlock the insights within your leadership, and then you go into Parafoil and look at what's going on.
Dashboard.
Yeah, kind of more like a dashboard than a conversation. But ultimately, I think those things will start to become more fluid as we start to think more flexibly about how user experience should work on these products. But it's not one of those pure chatbots in the same way that ChatGPT is.
Yeah.
And so we haven't had to give it a name yet.
It should be Ben, though.
If it gets a name, it won't be Ben. But
well, when you unveil, I need to know. I mean, you're going to hate this. Maybe you're going to like this. But I'm like, is it like an Aura ring for leadership?
Yeah, that's pretty good. So like,
use it.
I think it is like an Aura ring for leadership.
That is good.
You get access to those kinds of insights. What's the quality of your team's readiness? Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so, we call it leadership bionics.
Leadership bionics. That's the word you had.
Yeah. But I think, most people will call it leadership intelligence. And it's a way for you to have the same kind, there are lots of products that give you intelligence in different contexts. For us, we're building something that gives you the intelligence you need as an individual leader.
Can I share my hope?
Please
I
share
hope. What would be cool is if managers could propose that their leader to have a manager. Like,
you might find this useful.
Here's a little, right? Yeah. It's sort of like giving your partner like a little, it's like, this flower shop was nice that I passed today.
Yeah. Just a little
Well, yeah, because like what's better or cozier on a team than it's like I'm working with a manager who's always interrupting me, and then all of a sudden they stop doing that because the robots fix them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you need a recommendation.
Or we need a little button where you can sort of send an email anonymously or otherwise.
Yes,
That's what you need, or like a gift subsubscription or whatever.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You could have, that's where exactly.
We should do a gift subscription.
Right, and I like
I like that
100%.
very much. Yeah.
Tell us about your book. How we can. I mean, it's out. We can buy
It's
it.
out.
Yeah, but it's like, what? How do we think about? Is this guide? How are we going to change our life with it? What do we? Yeah.
Sure. So it's separated into two parts. The first part is all about how do we have better days at work, because work should be fundamentally fun. And then the second part is, how do we not let work overrun our lives? How do we actually get good at life, not just good at work? Amongst those two parts, there's 7 rules that one of them is called shoveling shit is fun if you like your co-shovelers. Another one is your brain works whether you're wearing a suit or stretchy pants. That is my debunking of performative professionalism. There's another chapter on creativity and how conformity and busyness is killing creativity and our spirits along with it. So it's a pretty comprehensive and also very practical guide to how you could have better days through any of those means, by bringing more of yourself, by having a better time with your colleagues, by curbing overwork, such that you're enjoying your life. That's the goal. More better days.
More better days.
It's so practical. Like, it's so easy to implement the stuff in Bree's book. You can pick up the book and read it and just start doing stuff with your team right away. That means that you can start to create the kind of team you want. Like, that's why I found it just so useful immediately. We use some of it. Like, it's so useful to be able to pick up that stuff and be like, oh, yeah, this. And by the time you get to the end of the book, the whole thing feels like common sense.
Field guide for common sense and to have better days at work. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Before we go, I can't get over you guys. I love it. Couple rapid fire questions.
Fun.
This one is like maybe related to your book and your work or not. That just, how do each of you, I'll start with you, Bree.
Sure.
How do you use AI in your daily life? What are you doing with it, if anything?
Yeah, I'm not like the best. So I asked it, how do I know if my watermelons are ready for picking? That's how I used it yesterday.
Yeah.
Show me pictures. Because we're growing these urban watermelons on our Manhattan little balcony, because I thought it would be hilarious. And I didn't know when they were ready. So I don't know. I tend to use it.
Are they big?
Well, so they're ice box sized watermelon, but I didn't know. So I tend to use it. Like, I'm saying this all like a little self-conscious, like, oh no, I'm not using it as well as I'm supposed to be. But like, I use it sort of as a replacement for Google, right? Like, it's just sort of a smarter, like, I got you, I know what you're trying to do here thing. I do try and keep it in the realm of like, I want you to work for me. I want you to make my life better. And I try and outsource the things that I don't want to do. So I never use it for writing outside of like a quick proofing for errors. I never use because writing for me is my craft and my art. Like, why do I want to outsource that?
Yeah. You're better at it.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. And also part of the value is that it came from a human. Like, that's why we connect with writing. So yeah, I try and use it strategically, my robot friends.
For me, I mean, it's part of the job to be using AI a lot. And so I am. As a thought partner, the chatbots, as a code partner, the LLMs, as a design partner, the kind of ways that it can help you think up new ideas. But I think the key thing for me is there's always a human in the loop, and it's not just me, So we'll use them to write specs for new features we're going to build on Parafoil, but we'll always spend a lot of time with them. Maybe it'll be like a first draft comes out of the LLM, and then second, third, fourth, fifth drafts are always the human ones. So for me, AI is a daily use in different contexts, in different ways. And I think it's going to just continue to be that way.
Could you have built the company you're building now without it? I mean, well, not the AI part of it, but actually being able to stand up a company and run it how you are using it in your running of your company.
It's really, I think you have to be grounded in your own sense of ethics. And, we talked about privacy, but I think it's really changed the speed at which we're able to do things like filing corporation form in Delaware and all these other things that you just need to do as part of starting a company in this day and age. So how do you do all that stuff much, much faster, much more easily? I think AI is incredibly useful at that stuff. The stuff that is seemingly routine that I think that you can probably get around is, I think, the best use of AI,
Okay. I didn't want to like prejudge you guys, but I was like, I wonder how they're going to answer these questions. That kind of.
Well, did you judge us now? Haven't heard our answer.
I was like, I think that tracks what I was like. And then you're using it like you're using like search. You know, like that's. I mean, I'm using it like search as well. It's very.
I think that's the way everyone's thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I think that's right too, and the companion thought partner. But I, like you, is, I'm like, I aspire to be a decent writer, my entire life. And so it's kind of like flattens a little bit what I'm trying to say. But I think for those that perhaps struggle with putting word patterns together and in the formation that, most of us are now, it's a great tool. So I think it's just interesting. We're asking this question to guests because it's like depending on what your own perceived, I don't want to say deficiencies, but like, what do you need help with? Like, what does your companion or whatever need to help you with? So it's like quite personalized in some cases around specific things that people are looking for. Anyway, watermelons. Okay, here's the last question. What's the most fun you've ever had at work?
I can share an answer.
Yeah.
Tell us.
I've had a lot of fun in consulting, but I had a first career in education. I taught high school physics. And I remember we were doing the egg drop experiments. I don't know if you've done these or this is a British thing at all. So it's like in physics class, you're given a raw egg and you have to make this contraption that's going to protect it when you drop it off of a roof. And so you're using what you know about physics and like impact time and all of that. And I remember so clearly, there was this one morning that I was on the roof of the school building with all of the eggs, peering over the edge to see all of my 9th grade students below. And I was like, oh my God, I'm at work. Yeah. Like, it was just surreal and glorious. And like, they're all looking up at me like, yeah, like drop it, and I'm just feeling like it felt like the furthest thing from a cubicle with fluorescent lighting. Because I felt connected and useful and creative and in the sunshine. Chef's kiss.
Amazing.
That's nice. I started my career as a music journalist. That was really fun. I was passionate about music when I was a kid. And so I got to then just go to shows every night. And it was a great job for my 20s, The lifestyle of a music journalist, particularly this is 20 years ago now, is wonderful. You go to a show, you hang out after the show, you file some copy at 10 a.m., and that's the kind of daily cycle that continues to go. And I saw all of my favorite bands for free and got to meet all my heroes. So that was a really fun job and I really enjoyed it. I got to work with some amazing, talented, brilliant journalists in that time. So that was a really, really fun time. And equally nowadays I get to choose who I work with more and more. And even just being here, like, I think that also is a way to kind of make work fun. Is this work?
No, well, yeah, I mean, it like technically is for me.
Right.
So this was fun though. This was fun.
Yeah.
I like you guys. It's a good convo. Just thank you for hanging out with me and for like making good stuff. Yeah.
So good to be
Thanks
here.
For having us.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Here's the big idea I'm still thinking about. Work doesn't have to be grand to be good. You don't need to be changing the world to have better days. Maybe it starts with a team you trust, a conversation that lands, a manager who listens and helps you grow. That's what Bree's advocating for in her book, small, human, sustainable shifts that make the day-to-day better. And that's what Ben's building with Parafoil, an AI that reflects you back to yourself and helps you become the kind of leader you wish you had. So if you want to check out Bree's book, it's called Today Was Fun, a book about work seriously, and it's out now. And if you're leading a team or thinking about how to do it better, take a look at Parafoil or send it to someone who needs it gently. Okay, what's popping in AI this week? So OpenAI rolled out a new human-centered update to ChatGPT. It announced that ChatGPT, which is now serving 700 million people a week, up from 500 million just this March, released updates that include gentle reminders to take breaks after long periods of use. And it also rolls back an earlier update that created its overly agreeable style. I think we all are looking for some pushback in our AI companions. Next up, Apple gets serious about AI. Apple CEO Tim Cook held a rare all-hands meeting last week to tell employees that AI is, quote, as big or bigger than the internet and smartphones, and that Apple's ready to lead. That's a bold claim. But Cook says that they'll make the investment. Whether they catch up to OpenAI, Microsoft, or Google is another story. But it's important and relevant to consumers in a big way, because the very thing you may be listening to this podcast on is made by this company, and it wants to evolve for your AI needs of the future. And Meta's wristband reads your intentions. So Meta unveiled a wristband that lets you control your computer by moving your fingers or just intending to move them. It picks up electric signals in your forearm and translates them into actions. So tap your fingers and you open an app, or think about moving and the device gets ahead of you. It's not quite mind reading, but it's getting close. And lastly, no time to cook. Well, this AI kitchen gadget does it for you. So a pair of engineers have launched a new countertop device called the Appliance. It promises to handle dinner for you. No chopping, sautéing, or multitasking required. It's powered by AI. The appliance connects to an app where you choose a dish, then the robot does the rest, handling everything from prep to cooking in a closed, self-guided process. Yum. Okay, that's it for this week. If you like this episode, give us a follow wherever you're listening. And if you've got a moment, please leave us a review. It helps other people find the show. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.